After a hurricane of back and forth leaks with Apple's 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros, which were expected to get updated this month, yes, November, with new chips and other updates, we finally have the truth. We have confirmation with what's gonna happen, and they are getting delayed. But in this video, I'm gonna explain why that's actually the best case scenario for these new MacBook Pros, because it points to something that I've been speculating for months now, and so many people were going against me saying that is wrong, there's no way that could happen, but I think we finally have confirmation, and that's of course that the new MacBook Pros are coming with new 3nm M2 Pro and M2 Max chips. So let's get started. Mark Gurman, who is the most reliable leaker out there, just came out with a new Power On newsletter saying that Apple's next Macs are delayed and set for early next year based on the company's internal plans and most recent earnings call comments. But before I dig into this newsletter from Mark, I want to point out that for months now, Mark believed that the new Mac Mini and MacBook Pros would be launching in November. It's been like that for months, all the rumors pointed to it, but finally we have confirmation that it is not happening from Mark Gurman himself with this new newsletter, so let's get right into it. Right here he says that Apple's been gearing up for the launch of some new Macs, and now we have a clear idea of when that will occur early next year. He's told that Apple's aiming to introduce the upgraded models, including M2-based versions of the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros, which is the M2 Pro and M2 Max, in the first quarter of calendar 2023. And if you want a specific date, here it is. He says Apple rarely launches products in January or February, so it's gonna be in the first half of March, which actually aligns to what I've been saying for months now, which is perfect. And the reason he believes so strongly in this delay is because Apple was aiming to release it this fall, but their latest comments in their earnings call confirms it, when Tim Cook basically said that the product line for their Macs is set for the holiday season, which means no new Macs until next year. But this right here is my favorite part. Apple also may be waiting until it can build chips using the 3nm process. The first M2 chips on the M1 are based on 5nm technology, so it's probably worth the wait. Yes, you guys just heard Mark Gurman finally acknowledge that these new M2 Pro and M2 Max chips could be built on 3nm instead of 5, against all odds and against everybody who said there's no way Apple is gonna do this. Mark Gurman just acknowledged it. And it's not only Mark Gurman, because we got some other leaks from other sources, including the account UX1122 on the Korean blog Naver, saying the supply chain points to the 14 and 16-inch not launching until early next year, matching up to what Mark Gurman is saying. And the even more important piece to the 3nm puzzle is the fact that Mark Gurman says that there's gonna be no new Macs until 2023, including the Mac Mini, which I personally thought was gonna be launching in November for sure, but there is actually a very good reason for the delay, which I am gonna be getting into in just a minute. So the big question that we've gotta figure out is, should you wait for the new M2 Pro and M2 Max MacBook Pros next year? Well, regardless of your decision, our sponsor Basis sent us over the perfect charger for the 14 or 16-inch MacBook Pro. This is their power combo 100-watt power strip that comes with a nice 5-foot long cable, and it can charge up to 6 devices using dynamic power allocation. It offers up to 100 watts of fast charging to charge something like the 16-inch MacBook Pro like this one up to 33% in just 30 minutes. But making it even better is the fact that it has not one but 2 USB-C ports, as well as 2 USB-A ports to charge a bunch of devices on your desk. But the banger feature is that it also has 2 AC outlets, so you can plug in even more devices, including these unique battery chargers that we actually use for our camera monitor for our top cam. The value of this thing is crazy good because it costs less than other 100-watt chargers, but unlike those, it also comes with the additional 2 AC outlets, and it comes with a USB-C cable in the box. So it's basically the best and most compact charger I've seen for the price, so go ahead and check it out using the links in the description and pinned comment below. Now getting back to why the delay of the Mac Mini is so important to the 3nm puzzle, we actually got some brand new leaks from the Mac Rumors forum user Amethyst. Check this out, he recently said that the coming Mac lineup may cost a fortune, saying that the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro with M2 Pro and M2 Max will include very high bandwidth, high-speed RAM, which could make it more expensive, which might be a reason why some of you might just buy this 14 or 16-inch MacBook Pro right now instead of waiting. But speaking of the Mac Mini, he said that the next Mac Mini will be a simple M2 drop-in, which basically means no redesigned chassis. It's gonna look the same, which kind of makes sense because the Mac Studio has the same design as the old Mac Mini, which is what Mark Gurman was saying. But then Amethyst also came out with this Mac Rumors forum post saying that the Mac Mini is gonna be an incremental upgrade with the same design, basically the same parts, but a change in the SoC/threads. That basically means that we can expect the M2 chip, but not only that, because the mention of threads means that it could be 2 different choices of the M2, so the M2 chip and the M2 Pro chip, which other sources have been saying for months, including Mark Gurman saying that we could have the choice between both of those. And I fully believe that it's gonna take an M2 Pro Mac Mini to fully replace the Intel model that's for sale for over $1,000. So if Apple wants people to pay that price, it's gotta be the M2 Pro. And now let's get into why that is so important that Apple completely delayed the Mac Mini, both the M2 Pro and the regular M2 versions. Check this out, I recently made a video 4 months ago saying that Apple's M2 Pro MacBooks will be better than you think, and the whole point of that video was that it would be based on 3nm chip technology from TSMC, which is called N3 Thin Flex. And you might be thinking that I'm crazy and that it's pure speculation, but there are a ton of leaks that pointed to those chips, the M2 Pro and M2 Max, being based on 3nm. Check this out. Way back in June, TSMC themselves said that their 3nm chips are launching in early 2023. You can see their chart right here from TSMC saying that in 2022, N3 would begin production, which is those 3nm chips. And guess what already happened? In August, it was reported that TSMC was beginning 3nm chip production next month, which was in September. So TSMC is already working on these 3nm chips. But check this out, way back in June, we got our first report from Jeff Pu saying that TSMC was gonna start mass production of new 3nm M2 Pro chip later this year. Not 5nm, 3nm. And not only that, but Shrimp Apple Pro, who was the first one to leak the new camera design with the dynamic island for the iPhones, he himself in June said that the M2 Pro and Max will get 3nm. Yes, he confirmed it himself. And even in July, he confirmed yes to somebody asking if the M2 Pro Max are gonna be 3nm. And then once again in August, Taiwan's Commercial Times themselves said the 3nm M2 Pro chip for the MacBook Pro was entering production, but it doesn't stop there because Digitimes said the same thing. Apple's first 3nm chips expected to enter production this year. And then later in August, there were rumors that TSMC was abandoning their 3nm process, but the CEO confirmed and said that the process is far from canceled. They're working on it. And the M2 Pro and M2 Max are likely to be on 3nm. And then finally, just last month on October 24th, Apple has reportedly given TSMC a large order to mass produce its M2 Pro, M2 Max, and future SoCs on the latest 3nm process. Look at all of those leaks pointing to the M2 Pro and M2 Max on 3nm, not 5nm. And I believe that is why Mark Gurman is finally acknowledging the possibility of these chips being based on 3nm, and that may be why Apple is waiting. They're waiting until those chips are ready, which TSMC said is only happening in early 2023. So all of the puzzle pieces are finally coming together, including my own personal thoughts on the actual Apple Silicon update cycle being an 18-month cycle, which would be perfect because this MacBook Pro, the 16-inch, came out in November of 2021. And 18 months after that is basically spring or March of 2023, perfectly falling in line and being right on time for 3nm chips. So because of all of that and Apple's delay of these MacBook Pros until next year, I am now 100% sure that those new M2 Pro and M2 Max chips will be built on 3nm against all odds. And because of that, they are gonna be an absolutely killer upgrade. They're gonna be more efficient, the battery life is gonna be a lot better, they're not gonna overheat, they're gonna be able to use full performance without having crazy fan noise, or Apple's just basically gonna be able to give insane amounts of power to them if they choose to. I think those 3nm chips are gonna be worth the wait and worth the upgrade, but it's gonna come at a cost because Apple could raise the price. So if you're not willing to pay more than these MacBooks, which start at $2,000 for the 14-inch and $2,500 for the 16-inch, then maybe it's a better choice for you to just buy this one right here because it's currently on sale on Amazon for a crazy good deal and you don't have to wait. So if you don't care that much about 3nm, it could be worth it just to buy it right now for the better sale price. But if you disagree with me on anything in this video, let me know in the comments section below. And if you learned something new, click the circle above to subscribe right there and check out one of those 2 videos right there. Thanks again, Basis, for sponsoring this video. This thing's actually really sick. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.